Hey everyone, Wanderbot here, and welcome to the Steam Monster Summer Sale, Day 3? Yeah, Day 3. Okay, so, lots of games to go over today, and I'm going to start skipping things heavily. So I'm just going to quickly skip past almost everything. So, City Skylines, great game. Sale is kind of garbage. I mean, it's only 33% off, but the game's still being updated, early access, whatever. But if you're looking to get into a city sim game, City Skylines is the place to start and stop. It's got mod support, and it's just generally all around better than the most recent SimCity game. That said, they did patch that game, and it's a lot better than it is now. But maybe I'm a shill for the slightly less sizable studio, and maybe I just have a lot of friends that are really into this game. But Cities Skylines is absolutely worthwhile picking up if you want a city sim game. Next up, Castle Crashers. Castle Crashers is a great arcade action RPG. In fact, if you've got at least one other friend to play with, up to 4, please play with as many people as possible. This game plays like a dream. It's a lot of fun. The online's a little bit wiggly here and there. I need to test it a little bit more. I don't know if it was on my end or the game's end, but if you can get 3 other people crammed on the couch with you, this is probably some of the most fun you will ever have in a video game, and I highly recommend it. At 90% off, $1.50, you are not going to get a better sale on this game, and at that price, you should already have it. Like, go buy it if you like this genre at all, or if you have friends, or like games, or really anything. Okay, next up is Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of Mordor, 50% off if you want to get the season pass. I think that's actually included, but it's a damn good game. But at that price tag, I'd say go pick up like Arkham Asylum, which will probably be on sale for like $5 in a couple of days if it's not already. Because they play fairly similarly, and that game's a hell of a lot cheaper. Actually, you could probably get Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, satisfy yourself with them, and then Shadow of Mordor will be cheap by the time you're done with those 2 games. So I like it a lot, but it's not a good deal, and we're just gonna move on. 7 Days to Die. If you have friends to play with, this game is worth picking up. The price tag is not so great, but this is the cheapest I have ever seen it, so that's actually fairly encouraging. It plays like Minecraft, but a little bit more realistic, and you've got zombies that will just totally Kool-Aid Man straight through your wall and mess your day up, so there's kind of the constant danger of, oh, my house is not safe. That said, it's clunky, it's not very pretty, and it's still very early access. So, I mean, if you're really looking for a complete zombie survival game, it's not really going to be there, but it's more complete than I think most other zombie survival games out there, which is a sad thing to say. I guess Project Zomboid beats it out, but that's a wildly different playstyle. So, take that as you will. Okay, next up is Prison Architect, another game that is very early access and very, very good. At 85% off, $4.40, I've never seen it cheaper than this, and it's only still in alpha. For the amount of content currently in the game, that is absolutely a steal, and for the amount of content that's probably going to get shoved into this game, again, it is absolutely worth having. It is the second best deal of the day. No, third. There's a better one. And if you like sandbox games, if you like tycoon games, I mean, this is effectively Prison Tycoon, and very worth picking up. Next up is Spin Tires. Spin Tires is a bit of a limited game. It's 50% off, $14.99, and unfortunately the developers kind of halted development for a little while, to the point where there was actually questions about whether or not it was ever going to get finished. That said, as a product, it is actually fairly complete and fairly good. The entire premise is you're driving around big rig trucks and construction vehicles and whatever through very muddy terrain, getting stuck and trying to figure out how to get out of it. It's actually really cool, and it's got cooperative modes. That said, it does not have a 2-pack system at all, so you're effectively going to have to pay $15 per person to play with. So I would recommend waiting. Eventually the price will go down, and hopefully development will pick back up, because the last major stable patch that you don't have to be beta branched for was back in January, and that's a little bit concerning sometimes, but I mean, development is slow, and it sounds like their publishers are kind of jerks. Okay, next up, 4th best deal of the day, Wolf Among Us at 75% off, $6.24. If you like Telltale games, if you like the Fable comics, this game is absolutely worth picking up. It is a dream to play. It's kind of goofy. There's a lot of up and downs with it, And it effectively kind of ends up being the Mass Effect style of role-playing, which is either press button A to be a douche, press button B to not be a douche, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But I personally recommend picking it up if you like the Walking Dead games, if you like the Tales from the Borderlands games, then you should probably already have Wolf Among Us. But if you don't, now's a good time to pick it up. Price is probably not going to drop much more than this. Okay, next up is Sunless Sea. It's a roguelike survival horror game. Cthulhu, it's very Cthulhu. At 40% off, 12 bucks. It's not the greatest price ever. It's a really good game. I highly recommend picking it up at some point. You play as a boat and you sail around the sea, and then Eldritch Horrors try and eat you. That's about all I can boil it down to. But I recommend it. I think it's a wonderful game, and it's still being updated. Actually, they just released a major patch a little while ago, which is actually pretty encouraging. And everybody I've ever heard playing it really enjoyed it. So I guess there's that. But it's one of those where if you're looking for a sale, this is not going to be it. Wait until Christmas or next year. Next up is Evil Within. Evil Within is made by the guy that made Resident Evil after he left, was it Capcom? I think he left Capcom. And he left Capcom, got picked up by Bethesda, made Evil Within. So if you liked Amnesia Dark Descent, if you liked Bag of Pigs, if you liked Outlast, this is going to feel kind of weird for you because it's actually a third-person shooter horror survival game. That said, if you grew up with the Resident Evil games, this is going to feel a little bit more at home. But not exactly 100% there, like it's not the renaissance of the series that a lot of people were wanting, but it's still a good game in its own right. So, 75% off, 15 bucks, probably not going to drop any lower than this because Bethesda's kind of stuck up its own ass as far as like game prices and DLC and whatnot. The problem is if you want to get the season pass, it's like an extra 10 bucks on top of this, I think, which is a little bit steep. Up to you on that one, but personally, I'm going to give it a pass just because 15 bucks is a little bit high for a deal shark like me. Next up is Age of Mythology Extended Edition. 75% off, $7.50. I don't think it's ever going to get any cheaper, and that annoys me to no end. Because unfortunately, this game came out, what, like 14 years ago, something like that? It's an old game that they decided to HD version and put it on Steam, which I can applaud as somebody that grew up with this game. That said, if you've never played this game before, and you don't know what it is, it's probably not worth picking up. There are way deeper RTSs out there. It's in the same series as Age of Empires, if you've never heard of it. But if you grew up with it and you really want to play it again, this is probably a better idea than trying to dredge out your old CDs and trying to get it to work. Which, last time I checked, did not work well on my PC, but might not work, well, might actually work for other people. Okay, next up is Football Manager 2015. Football Manager 2015 at 66% off, 17 bucks. I don't know. It's got good reviews, but I don't play that sort of thing. I don't even care about sports, so I can't really give you guys a very accurate opinion here. Next up is the Borderlands franchise, which I'm a little bit cranky about. It says franchise, but there's no franchise pack. You can't buy Borderlands 1, 1.5, and 2 together as like one big bundle. In fact, you can't even buy 1 and 2 Game of the Year editions together. You can buy 1 Game of the Year with 2, or 1 and then 2 separately, but you can't combo them together, and I feel like at this point they should have a combo pack for 1 and 2 at the very least. Borderlands pre-sequel, if you're waiting for a good deal on this one, it's probably the cheapest I've ever seen it. That said, I would say wait. They'll have a Game of the Year edition eventually, probably when Borderlands 3 is announced, or Borderlands 2.5, because you know what, look, 2K does whatever the hell it wants. But so wait until the next Borderlands game is announced, and then the price is going to drop like a rock, and you can then get the pre-sequel for a fairly reasonable price. If you've never played the Borderlands games, they are cooperative shooters, so you can have up to 4 players playing. They're very humorous. They've got a massive amount of guns, padded out by the fact that it's effectively just a giant gun treadmill. But I recommend the Borderlands games to anybody that has friends to play with, which is, I mean, most people, I assume. They're very long, though, so make sure your friends are willing to make the commitment with you. And there's no 4-pack anymore, so good luck on that, on that front. Okay, moving on. Speaking of games to play with friends, Chivalry Medieval Warfare. It's one of the deepest melee combat games I have ever seen, and I have not even scratched the surface of it. It's got weird things like sword dragging, where you bring your camera to the right and then to the left as you're swinging your sword, and your character will actually do more damage and have a wider range of, or I guess a wider arc in terms of attack, which is awesome. There are also like numerous other like combat moves you can do, and it's got like a really insane parry system too. The developers put out tutorial videos, and they feel like a foreign language to me. They're that complicated, at least as far as I'm concerned. Okay, moving on, is Counter-Strike... Oh, right, I forgot. Chivalry Medieval Warfare. I didn't even mention prices on that or Borderlands. Okay, so Borderlands 1 Game of the Year is $7.50. Borderlands 2 is about $9, and pre-sequel is about $40 if you want to have the season pass, and you probably want to. So that's a little bit steep, but still. Okay, Chivalry Modern Warfare. Damn it. I do this every single time I talk about it, including when I'm playing the game. But Medieval Warfare is 90% off, $2.50 is never going to go lower than that. So if you're looking to get into the series, it's damn cheap and it's worth picking up. Okay, now moving on, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It is a damn good game. Probably one of the best shooter series of the past 10, 15 years. It's the logical progression from Counter-Strike Source, Counter-Strike, just vanilla or 1.6, really depends on your perspective. If you're looking into getting into the genre, this is the most competitive version, but also it has better handlings for like lower level players. So I recommend this one above all others. It's also, you know, obviously the best one because it's the newest one, which doesn't always work, but in this case it does. It's got a sort of cash shop system. I mean, it's really got the TF2 hat system with skins. So you can have like bright hot pink guns with like weird patterns on them. And that's how they make more money. It's got a really, really deep competitive scene. Massive prize pools. The Twitch audience for this game is absurd. And I guess the audience for it in general is absurd. It's the very hardcore shooter people, especially because I haven't seen any other shooters really have this level of like of a fan base. And Global Offensive obviously deserves it, and probably will maintain that for the next like 7-8 years until the next Counter-Strike game comes out. Okay, and lastly is Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs is honestly, it's a game. It's a Grand Theft Auto-like, but with like a little bit more in-depth of a story and just all sorts of other things. It's not a bad game, but it's 60% off. Oh shoot! I forgot to mention Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It's 50% off, $7.50. I'm forgetting everything left and right here. Okay, 50% off, $7.50. It's not the greatest deal, but it's never going to go lower than that because otherwise people are going to buy a bunch of copies and smurf like crazy. So if you want to get into Global Offensive, this is a fine price because it's not going to go cheaper than this. Back to Watch Dogs. Okay, so Watch Dogs, 60% off, $15.99, pricey. It's got a multiplayer mode, which is good, but unfortunately not a whole lot of people are playing it anymore, and you're going to have to convince your friends to get it too. The main caveat here, they fixed all of the bugs, so a lot of the reasons why people hated the game when it first released is now baseless, but you know what? Public opinion has a very long memory. The other caveat is it is Uplay, which is not fixed and is still garbage, so if you don't want to deal with Uplay, stay away from Watch Dogs. That said, it's not a bad game. It's actually very pretty. It's got some neat ideas for the, you know, the open world driving sandbox type game. Crime, not crime, vigilantism, whatever. But unfortunately, it's just it was rushed. If they released this game, you know, 2 years after, spent those 2 years really polishing everything, making sure that everything made sense, it would have been a damn good game, but, you know, they didn't do that, so, well, this is what you get. So my recommendation is only get Watch Dogs if you truly feel burned by Grand Theft Auto 5 doing some kind of, like, weird sale bullshit, or if you have friends that are really passionate about the idea of running around hacking each other and throwing each other off of bridges and stuff like that, because that's how it works. Okay, next up, flash sales. I'm going to actually bundle them in here, but I'm only going to talk about the ones I like. So, first and foremost, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, $5, 75% off. It's never going to go lower and is absolutely worth picking up at that price point. Broforce, $10, 33% off. Not a good sale, but absolutely worth playing. It's some of the best fun I've had in a long time. Pretty much on par with Castle Crashers, a little bit less. But still, it's a damn good game, and it's still being updated with a lot of new characters and a couple new levels every month or so. So $10. They've also got a 4-pack for $30. Still worth picking up. Damn good game. Moving on, Tomb Raider franchise. You can buy the most recent Tomb Raider game, which is just called Tomb Raider, for $4, and that is absolutely worth the price. Mainly because it feels like Uncharted, but female protagonist, Lara Croft, and it's on PC, which, if they put Uncharted games on PC, maybe I'd like Tomb Raider less. But they're not putting Uncharted games on PC, so I like Tomb Raider a lot. And they are also coming out with a sequel this summer, either this month, next month, or the month after. Both are very worth picking up at this point. But, you know, that one's going to be $60. So pick this one up, have fun with it, and then wait for the deal on that one. Okay, moving on. Trine 3. Trine 3 is not necessarily on sale, but it's a damn good game, and if you want to get it. But instead, for people that look at the Trine 3 page and are like, huh, that game looks pretty and interesting, wait on Trine 3, go get Trine 1 and 2. They've got online co-op. You can play them with friends, and I highly recommend it. That said, you probably also have the games from a Humble Bundle. So make sure you have those before you go out and buy Trine 1 and 2. But I highly recommend the games. They're a lot of fun. Deadlight. Deadlight is a atmospheric survival platformer. And it's zombie survival. I don't know. It's one of the better zombie survival games I've seen in a while. And it is oozing with style. The gameplay is a little bit on the light side, but I mean, whatever. It's a platformer zombie survival game. You really don't get too much. But as far as like the sheer amount of quality packed into a $3 game at this point, it's worth it. Assuming you're into zombie survival games. Okay, next up is Lethal League. At $4.75, 66% off. It's not the greatest sale, but this is the lowest I've ever seen it. It's effectively Battle Pong with some other game modes here and there. But if you've got if you've got 3 other friends to play with, it's a lot of fun. The online game modes, the online player base is a little bit smaller. I'm definitely going to be playing it, but chances are if you don't have friends to play with, it's worth skipping. But it's very stylish and very fun, assuming, you know, you can get a full party, or at least, like, part of a full party. Even, like, one-on-one could be fun. Okay, next up is Besiege. Now, it's currently 15% off at $5.94. It's not a great deal, but it is an absolute steal. That game is one of my favorite games to come out this year, and will remain as such pretty much for the entirety of ever. It is a damn good game. And even full price, everybody should own this game. It's a lot of fun. You make siege vehicles, blow them up, and have weird physics issues as a result of various nonsensical designs. I have my favorite vehicle is a small little wheelbase with a spinny top, with pistons that effectively spring out from it, with swords on it. So it's effectively a giant sword windmill and just rolls straight through things, blowing up bombs, shredding people, and destroying houses. It's great. I really enjoy it. Seriously, it's a damn good game. And everybody should have it at this point. Okay, next up is the second set of flash sales. These are the stuff from the morning. These only have a couple hours left on them. So, first and foremost, Minimum. Third-person shooter. Slight RPG mechanics. You level up in-game. But when you die, you level down a little bit. You can upgrade your shit as you go along. Get pseudo-permanent upgrades for the remainder of the round. It's actually a really neat system. Drips with a lot of style, and has some kind of interesting game modes. They have a Horde mode now. They've got a Titan mode, where 2 Titans effectively just go brawl it out and play tug-of-war as you as players support them, which is actually a really cool, kind of interesting way of doing competition. And there's a bunch of like unlockable, craftable guns inside the game. So there's a lot of depth and replayability. The online community is a little bit on the small side of things, but if you can get a couple of friends to play with, you can more or less pad out half of a server and everything else adjusts from there. Okay, next up is Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. It feels like if you took the gameplay of Fable, threw it in with a story of Dragon Age, and watched what happened. Unfortunately, the game is rife with bad design choices, and just kind of a couple of plot holes, and just overall, it was a little bit too big for the studio to chew, and they went under. That said, it's still one of my favorite games to have Let's Played thus far, and I highly recommend it at a price tag of... It says $4.39, but it's actually closer to $8 because you're going to want to get the DLC with it. But even at $8, you're going to get 20 plus hours out of the game, and it's pretty good stuff. All in all, I really enjoyed the series. I really enjoyed actually the Teeth of Naros DLC. So if you don't complete the game, at the very least, try that one out. It's very pretty, and it's got some neat elements to it. Okay, next up is Long Live the Queen, which is kind of a... It's like a choose-your-own-adventure type game, couple of mini-game type stuff, but the entire premise is you are playing as a pink-haired princess who's now queen, and everybody's trying to kill you, and you gotta avoid, you know, getting poisoned, all sorts of other things. It's actually a really neat concept, and I really appreciate it. That said, it might not be for everybody. You might want to look into it before you bite the bullet on this one, but at $2, it's not a bad price tag at all. Next up is Wings of Vi. I recommended the game, but not at the price tag, so wait on that one. I'm just gonna skip past that. Sonic franchise. Looking at it, most of the deals are garbage, except for Sonic Generation, $7.50. Not a bad price tag. There's also Sonic Racing Transformed. Emphasis on Transformed. Do not get Sonic Racing, Sonic and All-Stars Racing, period. The Transformed version is the only version worth picking up, but it's actually, as far as I'm concerned, the best kart racing game of the past decade or so. It's better than Mario Kart 8, and it's on PC. Some people may disagree with me on that one, but you know what? I can actually play this one, so there's that. Last Remnant. If you want Final Fantasy games, but you have a PC and you don't really have access to a whole lot of them, Last Remnant is really good. It feels like if you took the combat system from Final Fantasy XII and switched it around a lot and made it super tactical and a little bit deeper. It's got a weird leveling system, which is a bit of caution. You can level yourself into a corner, which is bad. But overall, it's a very good game. It's got a very deep story and it's very long. So if you want to get like your JRPG on for a long time, Last Remnant is worth picking up at $5. Mercenary Kings. I consider this one, but at the price tag of $6.79 and the reviews I heard from my friends, it's not worth picking up. Skip it until they actually get the game working properly. Lord of the Rings War in the North. It's a 3-player cooperative RPG set in the Lord of the Rings universe in parallel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. At which point you just see them for a bit and then never see them again, and that's okay. I think at one point one of the characters is like, I wish we had Gandalf here, and everybody else is just like, shut up. I appreciate the game. It's fairly long. It's got a fairly good RPG, a set of RPG mechanics, good combat, and is very fun to play with friends. That said, if you don't have 2 other friends that are dedicated enough to go through the game with you, it's not worth picking up. But if you do, even if you're not that much of a Lord of the Rings fan, it's actually a fairly good game, despite what the initial review said. Okay, and lastly, hitting the end of the deals, the Steam Monster Summer Game sales. Pixel Heroes Bite and Magic. It's at $2.50. It's absolutely worth it. It's a traditional roguelike. It's got fairly good humor, and it's never going to go any lower than this. It's a roguelike. What can I say? It's a good one, too. Moving on, Gods Will Be Watching, consequence-based choose-your-own-adventure game. They just had a free update like 2 weeks ago, so go back to it if you already own it, but if you don't own it, it's worth picking up if you liked any of the Telltale games. And in fact, I would say this is maybe a little bit better in terms of, like, your consequences, like, the consequences of your actions actually matter. Next up is Memoria, skipping back a little bit. Memoria isn't exactly the game I'm talking about here. Memoria is actually just kind of bundled in with the Dark Eye bundle. You can buy Memoria, Chains of Sadanav, Dark Eye, and then the first Blackguards game for $6 in total. That's a really good price for effectively a semi-connected games. Really, Blackguard itself is the highlight of the deal, but Memoria ain't bad either. It's very pretty, so I recommend that one as well. And then Little Inferno, $2.50. Entire premise is you throw various things in the fire to keep yourself warm during the endless winter. It's kind of fucked up, and that's kind of the beauty of it. There's actually a plot, but for the most part the gameplay is just burning things in sequence and combination to unlock points, unlock new items to throw in the fire, and then throw the catalog in the fire when you've run out of everything else. It's clever, it's well written, and it's worth a laugh, especially if you have a friend to laugh with you. And lastly is Forced 1. Not Forced 2. Forced 2, the Rush isn't even on Steam yet, technically. You can't buy it, you can still get access to a Steam copy. But Forced 1 is effectively a Diablo-like, a Path of Exile-like, a isometric action RPG. I highly recommend it. It's a good game. It's a little bit more puzzle-based than the previous games I was talking about, but it's still got, a fair amount of combat, talent trees, yada yada yada. And it's got a 4-pack for like $6.75, I want to say, and is absolutely worth picking up if you've got friends to play with. And I mean, it helps that it's a small indie studio that I am friends with. They're nice people. They like to interact with people that play their games, and I feel like a little bit of a shill, but their game is worth it. And again, at $2.25 or $6.25 for a 4-pack, it's worth picking up. Woof. Okay, that's it for the daily deals, flash deals, and the Monster Summer Game Sale stuff. Long-winded episode, but otherwise this was going to be about 3 episodes totaling an hour. So I guess this is it. Anything that I didn't mention, I do not consider to be a particularly good sale. If you are interested in the game and you want to ask me about it, I can give you my opinion in the comments below. But in the for the sake of time, I wanted to skip past this stuff that really wasn't a good deal. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but it's either this or long episodes where I talk about games for too long. If you want to see more, if you want to talk about more, I can help you out in the comments below, but these are the games that I recommend that are actually worthwhile deal-wise. And with that, if you liked this video in any way, shape, or form, leave me a like. Helps more than you know. Again, if you want to ask questions, discuss anything, or point out where I'm wrong, please leave a comment below. And if you want to, well, see more, hit subscribe, because I'm going to be doing one of these videos every day now that I'm cutting it down to really good games, unless there are too many good games for me to talk about, at which point we're going to have a problem. Either way, though, I'll see you guys in the next Steam Monster Summer Sale daily deal video, and as always, thanks for watching.